Shalom, shalom, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Pulse of Israel here in our eternal and ancestral homeland, the land of Israel, in our beautiful ancestral Judean hills. Today I am with someone who I have been I'm trying to figure out how best to say this. I've interviewed Moshe in the past. Moshe Feiglin, the founder of the Zu Artseinu, This Is Our Land movement back in the 1990s, was out in the streets protesting with him in order to save our homeland, because it was clear as day to many of us here in Israel that the whole Oslo peace process, the Palestinian Authority, was all going to bring war and terror, and the Jewish people have to stand up and say, this is our land. It's not ours to give away. It's our land. It's God's land. He's written many books. And the first one is Where There Isn't a Man, B'makom she'ein anashim. Unbelievable book. If you didn't read it, buy it and read it. And today we're going to be talking to him about his latest book, which is called Israel is Just the Beginning, correct?
Right.
But this is only part of what Moshe is about. There's so much more. He has been involved in Israeli politics for years. It is because of him that I'm involved in Israeli politics. And I don't know if I've ever told you this before, but I really believe that the state that Israeli politics is today, with many more people who are ideological and not just political animals or in it for jobs or interests, many of them are involved in Israeli politics today because of Moshe, because of you. He started a revolution in Israeli society for the ideological, proud, Jewish, belief-based public to not just sit back and scream at our politicians, but realize it's our land. We should be involved in the political process as well. And it's because of that I'm still involved in the Likud party, even though he's already off to his another party, the Zehut party, which will be running in this upcoming elections.
Right.
So Moshe Feiglin, thank you so much for being on the Pulse of Israel program again.
Thank you very much, Avi.
It is always a pleasure.
Definitely.
So, but before we get into the book, I just want to start off by talking about what we just spent this morning doing, because that also is totally connected with everything about you, about the land of Israel. I'm sure it's connected to your book as well. So do you want to start out of what we just did the past few hours this morning?
I decided to come to Meitzad and to two beautiful, unbelievable outposts over there that the establishment tried to destroy 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. Unfortunately, the old establishment of the settlers themselves were involved with that, which is unbelievable. I mean, you tear your hair apart. How can that be? But I had to put my foot over there to show my support. Such a beautiful things you see over there. You see Charedim, ultra-Orthodox youth, young ultra-Orthodox together with knitted kippot, all young generation, the new generation that we saw in Gaza, fighting, giving their lives in Gaza. It's not, doesn't stop only there. You see it in all the outposts, bringing new spirit of unity. Don't see each other and don't push each other to a different draw altogether. And the old establishment cannot find it very hard to take. The new spirit, the new wave of freedom. People just want to go ahead and conquer the land and flourish the land. And some people want it to be done only our way. And that led at the end to this horrific site where four homes were destroyed, and if not for hundreds and hundreds, maybe more, good people from all sectors came immediately to save the place and succeeded, stop the destruction. So, for example, I came and I saw a young fellow crying. For 2 weeks, he couldn't bring himself to look what they did. He wasn't at his home at the time because his wife had a baby. So
Twins,
yes.
Just gave birth to twins 2 weeks ago.
So I'm going to him and I'm giving him a hug, and then I realized that the guy only speaks English.
Yeah, he only moved to Israel
He's
like
only
half a year ago.
in Israel. So, Oleh Hadash, come to Israel, building his house. Just think about it. Having a baby, his home is destroyed. And at the same place, next to him, a Haredi guy who speaks, I assume, not one word of English.
Right.
His home was destroyed as well.
Right.
So you see here, I mean, it's a terrible thing. But on the other hand, when you think about it, something these homes are going to be rebuilt.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Yes.
Okay? This place is going to be a big city.
Yes.
All the Jews are going to come to Israel. So much, because of these guys, okay, the Arabs left, all the hills are empty. Go ahead and take it. It's the land of Israel is waiting for its children, okay, to come from America. There's no place for any Jew in the diaspora anymore. I think we understand it today more than ever since the Holocaust, at least, okay? Definitely not in the West, anywhere. Not in Australia, not in Canada, not in France, not in America. So there's so many forces, good forces, bad forces. You know, when the Geulah, the redemption is coming, everything is coming out, including the negative energies, and but the good ones are going to win. I have no doubt. And I spent my entire morning, more than good few hours over there to help these people.
Yeah, no, I wrote about what happened last week.
By the way, I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
But the whole movement of going out of the settlements, out of the fences, established this outposts, started with Zohar Tzenu that you just mentioned, with Mivtza Machpil, double, the double operation, if I said it right. It lit the flame of the whole thing. Yes.
Yeah, and the most beautiful thing, and again, very sad to see these homes that were destroyed and the families that are now learning to move on. Again, we're talking about continuing the resettling of Judea and Samaria, but seeing this young generation, and like you were just saying, Moshe, to see ultra-Orthodox, knitted kippot, all different, some Americans who just made Aliyah recently or within the last few years, living together, developing the land. That is and I actually had a talk with some of those ultra-Orthodox yeshiva students, right? Because there are two yeshivot there.
Yeshiva already.
Right? One in a caravan and one in a cave.
Right.
Right? They're literally, there's a yeshiva, they're learning in a cave, they're living in a cave. That's like how devoted they are to settling the land and establishing the land. And I asked these ultra-Orthodox students there, like, where are you from? They told me they're from Bnei Brak. Right? The traditional bastion of ultra-Orthodox society in Israel today, right? Like, what brought you from Bnei Brak to here, to a hilltop in Judea and Samaria, to settle the land? And they said, because our generation is starting to understand the redemption process is happening, and we want to be part of it. So we left Bnei Brak to come here. How many Jews today see that there is a redemption happening to want to be part of it? And how many in the ultra-Orthodox community are involved in it? And together with the knitted kippot, the national religious. So I am so positive about the future. And like you're saying, because the redemptive times, the negative forces are coming out stronger than ever before, we're going to overcome them. We're going to overcome them. It was beautiful seeing that this morning together with you. All right, so let's go to your book. All right? And again, so your latest book, which I'm waiting with bated breath to be able to read myself, is called Israel is Just the Beginning. And just to give you everyone a little background, what's this about? And we'll ask Moshe why he thought he had to write a book about this. What made radical Islamists and left-wing progressives unite under the banner of the destruction of Israel? Because that's exactly what we're witnessing all over the world. And what makes you think they will stop there? And I understand there to be stop with Israel. I mean, it's going to go more. And it continues, the destruction of our civilization today is not only the ideology of Islamic fundamentalists, it is also the ideology of another radical movement known as progressivism, and it is spreading. In this seminal post-October 7th work, author and former Israeli parliamentarian, yes, Moshe served in Israel's Knesset, Moshe Feiglin exposes the deep connection between radical fundamentalists and the progressive movement, unraveling the truth from the lies and propaganda. Quote, Israel is the hammer and progressivism is the anvil, with the civilized world caught in between them. We are witnessing the imminent fall of the civilized world as we know it. End quote. Why did you write this book, Moshe?
Well, you know, Avi, that I started my fight, my public fight. I was 30 years ago, before Oslo, I was a private man. I had my business, I had my family. I lived in Karnei Shomron. I was dragged into the public fights and so on because of the Oslo process, because of the risk of the entire land through the Oslo process, bringing here Yasser Arafat and the PLO and all that. It wasn't hard to understand where it's going to lead us at the end to the 7th of October, of course.
Right.
But during all these years, 30 years passed. And as you mentioned, I wrote a few books, and I was in the Knesset, and God willing, I'll be back. And more than just the Knesset, my party is running in the coming election, my Zehut party. But during all these years, as you know, I put a lot of energy in really understand what the source of the problem is. And during the Corona time, the Corona helped me understand a bit more of what's going on here. Okay, I realized that the story here is much, much bigger than just Judea and Samaria. Okay, something much bigger is going on.
Right.
And I realized that the forces that fighting here are these two forces: the radical Islam basically, and progressivism, not just against Israel, but against the entire civilization. These two forces, progressivism and Islam, are their main goal is to destroy civilization, is to bring back the world to a desert, to become a desert. There was a famous, maybe not so famous, but the first commissioner to Sinai, that when the Brits took over after World War I, the Middle East, it was the land of Israel, and they took over Sinai. The first British commissioner to Sinai, his name was Darvis, I think Lord Darvis or something like that. And he said that the Arab is not the son of the desert, he's the father of the desert. Which we see, by the way, but when we go to the outposts, they're all yellow because they're taking the shepherds and eating all the grass and not letting the grass grow up again, and it all become a desert. When the Jews coming, it become green again. However, so we said that for quoting him, about 20 years ago, I wrote an article and I quoted this Darvis guy, okay? And for quoting him, I got an official letter from England saying that I'm a persona non grata in England. That was more than 20 years ago.
Just for quoting him?
For quoting a British official.
A British official said you're a persona non grata to visit Britain.
No, for quoting him, saying that the Arabs...
Right.
Of course, I assume it was a work that was done from here, and there was a lot of politics involved. Right. I wrote and they said I can appeal in 5 years. I said, no, it's okay. I'm not going to appeal. And if I'll do so, I'll probably have to do it in 10, 15 years from now, writing the appeal in Arabic. I wrote it back. This is exactly what we see today in the West, definitely in England. And so we're talking here about two ideologies, the progressivism and the Islam. that basically destroying civilization. Okay, now the question is how they do it and why they do it. These two ideologies. So let's talk about the progress first. Okay, I can add to that, by the way. Do you have any explanation what Greta Thunberg wants from our life? She's supposed to be watching the environment, right? The global warming.
Right.
Why is she sailing again and again to Gaza, helping the why the international feminist movements could not bring themselves to condemn the horrific rape that happened the 7th of October. These women were not women. The Jewish women are not women. What's going on here?
Yep.
Why their organization, they're supposed to, organizations that, the gay movement also, same thing.
Yep.
Organizations for the animals, UN organization. What brings them all together? What is the common
denominator.
Denominator of all of them. Thank you. The answer is progress. All these movements are different arms of the same octopus. Okay, the head of the whole thing is the progressive ideology.
Right.
It's not about women. They can't care less about women. It's not about gay rights. It's not about the environment. Okay, it's about something else. These are all tools. Okay, to cover ideology that stands behind it. And what is the ideology? The progressive movement, the progressivism altogether, is the modern appearance of the Bolshevik Revolution. Basically saying, hey, there is no God. There is no God. And therefore, there is no identities. There is no human identity. There is no difference between us and the animals. Okay? You can see in Europe, in Germany, people decide that I'm a cat or I'm a fox. You can see people walk around in the streets, and it's not a joke. Okay? Right. There's no difference there's no human identity. Of course, there's no sexual identity. You can be whatever you want. Right. There's no family identity. Everything is a family, right? And there's no national identity. All these four basic identities that builds the civilization do not exist. We should destroy all identities, bring the world back to, as it says in the Bible, tohu vavo at the beginning. Bring all the world back to a mixed, one big shamble. What's the English translation to tohu vavo?
Wow.
Should open
tohu vavo. I don't know. It's nothing in craziness. It's
the first pasuk in
Bereshit, and when God created the world, and there was tohu vavo.
And it was tohu vavo. Look there.
It's tohu vavo.
It was one big balagan.
One big balagan. That's the best way to put it.
It looked like your kids' room. The world looked like your kids' room when you're leaving them alone. So the thing is to erase all identities. The world should go back to that position of tohu vavo. And what's the next word? Veruach Elohim merachefet al pnei tehom. And the Spirit of God is watching from above. So they want basically to send God out of here. The world will be tohu vavo, and God will be will leave us alone. During the Bolshevik movement, it was there's no nations. There's only those who have the sources, who have the money, and
it's a class warfare.
Different classes. Of course, we should destroy the old world, no God. We decide what the identity is.
Right.
By the way, feminism was established by the at that time by the Bolsheviks. All the concept of feminism was destroyed because they wanted to destroy the family.
Right. Got that.
A kid that told the authorities that his parents or grandparents stole a potato that belongs to the country, right? Was the hero of the USSR. Okay, his parents went to Siberia, and he was a hero. Crazy. So what we have today, 100 years later, is the same thing. But now it's not just a national identity; it's all identities. Okay, and it's not just a war between these two basic classes. Okay, those who have the money, the capitalists, and the workers. It's a war between everybody against everybody. Constant war, okay, that should turn all the time the wheel of the progressive revolution.
Right.
And who's having a war over here? Men against women, women against men, black against white, white against black. Everybody has to fight against everybody all the time. But the basic thing is, the basic motivation behind that all is to send God out of this world. Okay? So this is progressivism.
I've also, in my words, I've used, it's basically a war against God.
That's exactly what it is. So what's the connection to Islam? Islam calls in the name of God. Allahu Akbar. Wait with this question for a second.
Okay.
Now, you understand now that if everything you are about, okay, is a war against God, you have to have a problem with a nation, with the people who witness its existence by being a nation that above the rule of nature, right? Our infinity, the fact that we exist forever through all history, okay, by our very existence, showing that God is here, okay, and humanity understand that. If you are an ideology that wants to against God, you want to send God out of here, you obviously have to. The Jews are your enemy.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So now we understood what the progressivism, why they like us so much. These old progressive movements. But what the problem of Islam? Remember that both of them wants to destroy civilization. What Jews brought to the world is the two basic concepts, two basic tools that create civilization. In Mount Sinai, we, the people of Israel, showed the entire world that there is one God. So this is monotheism.
Right.
When there's one God, there is different identities, because God create the world and create life by creating different identities. There is no tohu vavohu. There's a land and there's the sea. There is animals and people. There's birds and fishes.
Men and women.
And
everyone has their role.
And that's the way God created the world.
Right.
So by having different identities, we're having life. Okay.
Right.
So they fighting God by mixing these identities again. And of course, if we represent the fact that God exists, we are the obstacle
Right.
to the whole concept. Now, what do the Muslims want from us? They believe in God, but they believe in a different God. The whole concept of God is different. We believe in God of life, Elohei HaChaim. They glorify death, the shuhada. Okay? We believe in free will. Okay? We believe in freedom. The whole concept of Islam, the translation of the word of Islam is kni'ah, tziyut, obey.
Submission.
Obey. There is no free will in Islam.
Right.
Okay? So they both see the people of Israel as the biggest enemy, the progressivism because we testify about the very existence of God, and the Jews because we show the world the real concept of God, which they want the message of death, the God of the shuhada, the glorification of death to come from Jerusalem, from the Temple Mount, from the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and not the message of life that we want to spread to the entire world
With the temple.
from the Temple Mount, from Beit HaMikdash.
Or the rebuilding of the third temple, please God.
As you see on my jacket. So
Right.
this is basically what is the book talks about, but it's much, much wider than that. After explaining the concepts of what is the real conflict over here, and why these two forces are fighting against Israel, and why Israel is the front line of the entire civilization, these two concepts, the concept of one God that created identity, and the concept of that we brought in Mount Sinai, and of course the Ten Commandments that came down from the mountain at the same time. So the belief in one God, the belief in monotheism brought the identity to the world,
Right.
and the Ten Commandments brought the liberty to the world. Why? Because if there is an existential set of rules, do not kill, do not murder, do not steal, all Ten Commandments, that not a human being wrote it, not a strong king wrote it, and tomorrow he can change it.
Right.
It's the Ten Commandments that the biggest king in the world and the lowest, servant in the world has to obey. Then there's one rule to everybody, and everybody is free. We all have our freedom under the wings of that one God. Now these two concepts, identity and liberty, are the two concepts that Judaism brought to the world and are the basic foundation of civilization. So if you destroy Israel and you destroy these two concepts, okay, you destroyed civilization, and this is the common interest of these two ideologies, the progressivism and the Islam. It seems to an outsider like two totally different things. But now when you understand that, you understand why they combine against that enemy, and you understand why Israel is the front line of the entire, against the destruction of the entire civilization. So the winning of the state of Israel, the winning of that fight, is the only chance of the entire Western civilization, which is the monotheistic civilization, basically, to survive.
So how do you explain how the movement that is basically the war against God, progressivism, partner with a movement that believe in God?
Exactly as I say. They have the same goal, to destroy civilization. They want the world to become yellow, to become a desert again. Okay? The progressivism, okay, cannot stand the message of zehut, identity, the Jews brought to the world and created civilization, different identities. And the Islam cannot stand the message of chirut, liberty, that the Jews brought to the world with their Ten Commandments. Okay? So they have the same enemy, which is the Jews. And today, Israel represents Judaism. There isn't Judaism without Israel. If somebody thinks there is, he has it totally wrong. Okay?
Right. Let's put this in perspective. Jews have survived for thousands of years in exile without Israel, but our true identity as Jews is one and the same with our living in the land of Israel, as we're supposed to do, as we're able to do today.
You're absolutely right. When we were in exile for 2,000 years, we existed. We did not live, we just existed.
Survived.
Survived, right? But there's a tremendous change, okay? Since the process of redemption of Israel started to happen in the last 100 years, and against all odds and against all rules of history and nature, we came back to our land. The history of the Jewish people is being written today in Jerusalem and in Tel Aviv and in the entire state of Israel, not in New York, definitely not in Warsaw or Marrakesh or anywhere else. You will not be able to remain or to keep your Jewish identity in another generation out of Israel, because the concept of galut, okay, of exile, is ended, and it doesn't matter how religious you are, and you can learn Torah. Your grandchildren will not remain Jewish if you will not be in Israel. Read my lips. It's over. Okay. There's a place for all the Jews in the world today, if they want their grandkids and grandchildren to remain Jewish, it's only in Israel. The ability to keep our identity without our land, the land of Israel, under our feet is gone. Together, the concept of galut was a terrible thing, but it came also as a present. You'll be able to go out and keep your identity as a religious. You can take your Judaism and see it as a religious instead of a nationality and a whole culture of a nation on his land that's supposed to spread a message to the entire world. We brought the whole concept of Judaism to a small capsule of religion only, right, in our homes, right, in our shuls, under other people's sovereignty. That is gone. You cannot do it anymore. It's not going to work for you. And if you're fooling yourself that you can remain Jewish out of the state of Israel because you're very religious or so, forget it. It's not going to work. Right. On the other hand, here in Israel, an amazing revival, which we spoke about before when we started to talk. Suddenly, all these concepts of Haredim and ultra-Orthodox and Nitit Kippot and ta-ta-ta. See the new generation, they don't see it anymore. Flourishing the land together. Jews are coming. The future, I mean, there is no limit to. It's not going to be easy.
No, it's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be easy. It's going
the negative forces are getting even stronger.
The negative forces are getting stronger as well.
To stop it.
Israel is facing tremendous challenges, but it's our challenges. We not just don't belong to somebody else's. We're not somebody else's problem. Right. We are.
Right. And on that point, I just wanted to say for people that these concepts might be foreign to you or new to you. What Moshe was just saying is very important. The Jewish people are not a religion. We're not like Christianity or religion. The Jewish people, we are a people, we are a nation with three components: a land, a language, and the religious rituals. That's basically, in a sense, what I like to call the secret sauce that helps us continue generation to generation. But we're not a religion. We're a nation, and that's a nation that's connected to the land. But so follow.
I can just fix you a little bit.
Yeah.
We are a nation and a religion at the same thing. Okay. The definition of Judaism is something that you cannot find by any other nation. Okay. We are, on one hand, a normal nation. people, good people, a bit less good people, working class, blue collar, white collar. We have our own thieves, police, jails, army, income tax.
Right. No better than other people.
No different. Maybe okay. We can a little bit be happy about ourselves. There are a few things here that as a let's call it so-called secular nation, we did probably much better than others. I don't know the amount of new high-tech companies is bigger almost as in America in real numbers. It's amazing what's going on.
Even though we're smaller than the state of New Jersey, we're tiny.
Yeah, I mean what's coming out of Israel is amazing. But basically, okay, so successful nation, materialistic nation, okay?
Right.
But at the same time, we are a religion. What is your religion? Are you Christian? Are you Muslim? No, I'm Jewish. Hey, but I thought being Jewish Judaism is your nationality. What is your religion? What is your religion? I'm Jewish. It's two at the same. Now, so what's going on here? What's going on here? The thing is that being Jewish is being a combination of a spirit and a body together. It's life, okay? What makes a Russian guy a Russian? Or British person British, or France, or Italian?
Born there, or parents were from there?
The simplest answer is because he was born in Italy. Okay? He was born in Greece. The land that he grew up born at, and he grew up at is the land that his language was developed, his culture was developed, a group of people that become a tribe and later on a nation on the same land. So it's I would say the covenant between the people and the land that makes the nationality. Okay. So you're an Italian because you were born in Italy. Okay. You're British because you were born in England. And you're Jewish because
your mother's Jewish.
No. You're Jewish because you have a covenant not with the land, but with the sky. Okay? What makes us a nation is the covenant at the Temple Mount in Sinai. So we become a nation out of the land. We came into the land of Israel as a nation already. Okay? So we combine physics and metaphysics at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The Jewish nation is the chain, the part of the chain. I think
a link in the chain.
The last ring in a chain. How is it called?
Link in the chain.
The link in the chain between humanity and God. This is what we are, because we are a nation. I call the nation. That's the part of the chain that we belong to all family nation, but we also are a religion, and that's the part that connects to God. And this is our mission in life,
right? To
connect humanity to God. Okay. Now, where are we doing? And that's why God created this nation.
Right.
I created this nation to tell the whole world my glory.
Right.
To fix the world in the kingdom of God.
Right.
This is the reason why the Jewish nation exists.
Right.
Why God created
and
us.
To do it from here.
Not only from here, of course from here, from the Holy Land, from Jerusalem, from the Temple Mount, from
the temple.
From the temple. What is happening in the temple? The temple is like the brain in the human being body, okay? What's the secret of the brain? The brain is the place where thoughts become acts, okay? I'm thinking, I'm thinking in my brain. Thinking is a spiritual thing, right? What is thinking? What's going on there?
Right.
And it becomes
Physical
a
act.
physical act.
Turn it into a physical.
Okay,
Right.
so this is so the human brain is like the temple in the world. It's where spirituality, okay, metaphysics, meet the physics, and bringing life to the entire world. It's the point where God touches the earth and spread life to the entire world. Okay, so of course that point of the palace of God in the Holy Land, held by the holy nation, creates the message of life and liberty to the entire world.
Right.
And the forces that are fighting against us, all the forces that are fighting against us, not only the Muslims, okay? Anti-Semitism is all over.
Yeah.
Are the forces that don't want this connection, wants God out of our life, or wants the freedom out of our life.
So that's a good segue to my follow-up question, going back to your book specifically. How do you think the Jewish people in the Jewish state of Israel today are in fighting against this partnership against us from the progressives and the jihadi Islam?
Okay, now you're going into the other side of the book that describes what's happening in the Israeli society. Okay, everything that I explained so far is basically something that the founders of the modern state of Israel did not want to deal with.
Right. They didn't want to deal with the religious aspect of the Jewish people being back in our homeland.
The government of Israel in 1967 did not want to liberate Jerusalem.
There was no actual battle plans for the army to liberate Jerusalem. For those who did not know that.
Yeah. And when we got it as a present from God,
they didn't know what to do with
against the will, I mean, those who really know what happened in the Six-Day War, we got Jerusalem against our will. We didn't want it.
And Hebron, all Judea and Samaria.
And before they took over Jerusalem, Moshe Dayan, who was the defense minister, and most of the government sat and had a meeting. Are we going to liberate Jerusalem? And they decided not to. And Moshe Dayan said, who needs all this Vatican? We are not a religious state. We tried to create a state of all its citizens. We tried to create a modern state, civilian state. We don't. We thought we left all these crazy Jewish ideas in a diaspora and create a normal state, and that's it. And we will hit the Arabs and then let us live, and we'll be able to.
Right, and just to give the two actual most powerful examples of what Moshe is talking about right now, is we put the Israeli flag up on top of the Temple Mount.
For 5 minutes.
And then Moshe Dayan, the Israel's defense minister, gave the order to take it down and hand the keys over back to the Muslim Waqif. Instead, we could have had his Jewish control, freedom of worship for all, a Jewish synagogue in the Temple Mount back in 1967, but it was Israel's defense minister who stopped that. And Hebron, the Arabs ran away. They emptied the city. They ran away. And it was Moshe Dayan who drove after them, stopped them, and said, please come back. And he actually is responsible for all the Jews
by the way,
all the Arabs coming back to live in Hebron.
It happened again 2 years ago, after 7th of October. They were sure after what they did. In Judea and Samaria, not in Gaza, they started to pile their cars with mattresses and everything they got and go to Jordan. We called them to come back. It happened again. Not many people know that. Okay?
I didn't even know that either.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that either.
Because, yes, they said, okay, after such a thing, now we're gonna the Jews are not gonna be,
because people don't understand that, because in their minds that's what they would have done. They would, if anyone would have done that to them, their response would have been murder, rape, expulsion, take them out over their land. So that's what they expected from us.
Yes, but going back to the Six-Day War, how come the Israeli government, when we get Jerusalem, the holiest site, the place of the Temple Mount, of the temple, King Solomon's temple, the second temple. It was built by the Jews that came back from Babylon, and so on. How can we get that and we take it like this and throw the kids' keys back to the Muslims? The answer is that this war that I was talking about before is not just between Israel and the world. It's inside the Israeli society as well. And the book describes to details how it infects the army. Because of that, we did not win the war in Gaza for 2 years. You know, Avi, if you take a baby, don't know how to walk yet, only know how to crawl, okay? And you put him on the eastern border of Gaza, and he's starting to crawl. After 10 days, he's at the seashore of Gaza, the western border of Gaza. This is what it is, okay? Right. It was taken over by the Israeli army in 1956.
10 days.
67. 56 in a day and a half. In 67, in half a day. Come on. Okay, they surprised us. Okay, they had the hostages. Okay, come on. Hey, hello. 2 years? 2 years? With all the problems that we had. You see, it was not a war of force. It was not it was not a conflict of army. It was an ideological conflict. Okay.
Right. And what you're basically saying is our army did not fight this war to win.
Right.
Like a regular army conflict.
Yes. I'll explain.
So what were they fighting for? And what were we still fighting for if it's not to win?
I'm sure you remember that after this attack, it took the Israeli government 3 weeks to decide what the goal of the war should be. Remember?
Yeah.
Hey, you just got a day of Holocaust. What do you mean what the goal of war should be? 3 weeks you spent. Did nothing, basically. Just deciding what's the goal of the war. What do you mean with the goal of the war? Destroy your enemy. Immediately, right? You know, when the wheel of war turned around, it was not the Germans bombing London, it was the English
bombing Germany?
Royal Air Force, the RAF, yes, bombed Germany. Did they think, what should they do with Dresden or Hamburg? They burned it to ashes. No humanitarian aid, right? No, the Americans even worse. Not one German bomb fell on New York, right? Yeah. Excuse me. Japanese bomb fell on New York, right? When they won the Midway battle and started to get close to Japan, they burned to ashes about 80% of Japan, including, of course, the 2 atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. What do you mean, what's the goal of the war? To destroy your enemy until you see a white flag. As they explained later on, unconditional surrender. That's the goal of the war. To think for 3 weeks. Who is the enemy? What's the definition of the enemy? What's going on here? There was one goal for the war in Gaza. Everybody understand immediately that this is a goal no one spoke about. Okay, the goal was not to go back to the days of to the situation that was exist before Oslo. Not to re-establish the army
control in Gaza.
Army control in Gaza. Not taking over Gaza. Not throwing the Oslo process and the Oslo agreements to the garbage of history. Not to.
Still 2 years into the war, the government hasn't made any decision to throw Oslo into the garbage.
Right. Why? why don't we want, after we saw what the Oslo process brought on us, and the disengagement that came because of Oslo brought on us. The situation before Oslo was
Unbelievable.
unbelievably good compared to what we had after. So why not? And you had the full legitimacy to do whatever you wanted at first.
And the world would have let us do whatever we
you
wanted.
want. What do you? It's the same thing as giving back the keys to the Waqf after 67. I'll explain to you why. What was Oslo all about?
Oslo was about stopping
As you
Israel from being a
mentioned,
Jewish state.
As you mentioned, I had the privilege to create the Zu Artzenu movement to fight against Oslo, and I was charged for sedition, not less than that. My charging sheet is on my
Your wall.
framed in my wall in my living room. I'm very proud of it. Okay. What was it about? One of the biggest intellectuals that stood behind the Oslo process at the time was Dr. Ron Pundak, was his name. He passed away a few years ago. Before he passed away, he was asked, don't you think the Oslo process failed? You spoke about peace. You brought only war and bloodshed and buses blowing up and so on. The amount of number of casualties is much higher after than before. So you failed. So he said something amazing. We did not fail. We succeeded. Because peace was not the goal of Oslo. What was the goal? The goal was Israelism of the state of Israel instead of Judaism of the state of Israel.
Yeah.
Israelism means we are just a civilian state. We created a new nation, a civilian nation. We're not another layer that above our Jewish identity. Something totally new, where Arabs and Jews can be our Israelis, the same nation. And we succeeded with that. With that we succeeded, and that's the goal. If we win in Gaza, taking over again in Gaza, throwing Oslo away, we are winning against this effort to become a civilian state. Okay? The whole concept of Oslo, we have to keep it. We have nothing else. It sounds crazy, but the whole war in Gaza in the last 2 years was a war between us and ourselves. The whole war altogether in Israel is between us and ourselves. Okay? So everything I explained about the message of the Jewish nation, okay, is something that the civilian side, the Israelis that they see themselves as Israelis, not Jews, but Israelis, or not Israelis on top of their Jewish identity, but instead of the Jewish identity, don't want to deal with, don't want to think of. So we have to create leadership in Israel, okay? We have to get this new generation, amazing new generation, understand what they represent, an amazing thing they represent, in order to put the state of Israel on the track of its original Jewish message to the entire world. Now, we got the state of Israel because of the Balfour Declaration in 1917, okay, after World War I. Why? Why did Balfour and his friends decided to give this declaration that basically opened the door to the Jewish land, to the Jewish sovereignty in Israel? Why? And the famous historian...
Again, we're talking 1917, years before the Holocaust, anything happening to the Jews in Germany, yeah.
The background is that World War I was ending, and the big hopes of the 18th century, okay, the Enlightenment time, that human being will be able to bring himself to a new state, more moral stage of peace and prosperity without religions. The separation of religion from the geopolitics world was a new concept. The modern states, after the French Revolution, of course, and
Right.
so on, and all the world was and suddenly comes the war of these new states, of these new ideologies, okay, and shows that the world did not make a progress, but basically Balfour can smell the tens of millions casualties in the trenches of Verdun and Somme, and gas war, and this modern world brought also the machine gun, and planes are bombing and Balfour says to himself, maybe when the kids of the prophets will go back to the hill of Judea and create their own kingdom and build Beit HaMikdash, they will teach us, so they'll spread again the words of the prophets of faith and freedom to the entire world. This faithful energies that still exist in humanity today brought this declaration that end with the creation of the State of Israel. There was an expectation from us, from the world. And when we are not fulfilling these expectations, these expectations become hatred, anti-Semitism.
So I think we both agree that our younger generation that was very much involved in this war, not just the 18, 19, 20-year-olds who, like my own sons and your grandchildren, in actual fighting.
The book is in memory of my grandson that got
yes,
killed.
I was going to mention.
Right.
Moshe's grandson is one of the soldiers who was killed in this war. Hashem Yikom Zamo. So it's thanks to this new generation, younger generation, and their parents and their young parents, that these 2 years have shaped them to strengthen their Jewish identity and understand what we're really about, what our real purpose is, what our real enemy is, that it has to be defeated, and stop all the progressive political games and narishkeit and idiocies. They're going to save the Jewish people, all right? Sooner rather than later, but they're going to save the Jewish people, the Jewish state of Israel. But I want to play devil's advocate with you for a second.
Just a minute before you do that.
Yeah.
We see a tremendous shift, mostly by these youngsters, to more Jewish identity.
Yeah.
Okay. We see them wearing tzitzit.
Yeah.
Okay. Without yarmulkes.
Right.
Okay. They ready for this identity revolution.
Yeah, they're part of it.
The revolution of hope that I'm talking about.
And they're part of it and leading it, even though their own teachers and parents did not lead them to that. They've come to it on their own.
You see youth in schools, non-religious schools, fighting against their teachers to put tefillin on.
Yeah.
And they're not religious.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But they feel that their identity was taken away from them, and that's the new revolution of the young generation against the old guys in Israel.
Yeah, it's unbelievable
to see.
Yeah, there's so many examples. I can go. We can have a whole program just on the examples of what's going on in Israeli society today, Jewish society today in Israel. But I want to play devil's advocate with you. Let's say we don't succeed in overcoming this partnership between the progressivism and the Islam against us. Can the world be saved?
It depends what happens in Israel. If we don't succeed, the world going back to the dark times.
So I was expecting that answer. Can you help people understand why? Because when I tell people to support Israel, I'm saying, don't support Israel for us. We're going to be okay. God's watching over us. We're going to be okay. We're going to overcome this. The Torah says clearly, for those who follow certain rabbis, there was 2 destructions of the temple. There's not going to be a 3rd destruction of the temple. We're here for good. We're going to overcome it all. Support Israel because your future depends on it. Because the future of your children and grandchildren depends on the Jewish people standing strong and the Jewish state of Israel becoming a beacon into the world. Can you help connect the dots for people to understand that?
First of all, this is exactly what the book is doing. Okay? It's explaining why Israel is just the beginning, to both directions, to redemption or for destruction of the entire world. Okay? And I don't know what you meant by support. I don't want a physical support. If you're Jewish, I don't want your support over there. I want you to come here. I want your foot on the ground here. That's the support I'm expecting, okay? I think Israel should stop with the American support. All we needed to win this war is to close the water
into Gaza.
The water supplies to Gaza. After 2 days, you would win the war. If this
without endangering any soldier life.
Want to have a cup of water, come out with the hostages. That's all we needed to do to win. Okay, that was not that, and there was no need not to the American super carrier, the Gerald Ford carrier, or anything else. Okay, not that we are such heroes and we had tremendous problems with the army. I'm writing about it in the book again too, and explaining all the problems inside Israeli society and Israeli Defense Force. Everything is explained there. But the bottom line is, it was not a war of force. It was a spiritual war over here. And in Gaza, at the Gaza front, in other front it was different. In the Gaza front, which was the main front of that war and still the main front of the war, we lost. Why we lost? Because we decided to look at it, to function as a regular war. It was not about that. A regular war we would have been winning long time ago. Okay. Now, when you ask, so what do we want from the world? I want nothing from the world. We are the problem, not the world.
When I say support, no, I get that. I'll let you continue with that.
Yeah.
When I'm telling everyone support, meaning support us in winning our battle against the Red-Green Alliance against us. That's it. Just standing up proudly for the Jewish people and the Jewish state of Israel to win our war. Don't do anything. Just stand by us and teach your children to stand by us and your grandchildren to stand by us and not to fall for all the lies.
But Avi, if we would have won the war, their children would have been with us anyhow.
True. And
you understand?
Yes.
Look,
right.
At the very beginning.
But we're still going to win the war.
Yes, we got.
Right. No, I'm just clarifying for people who heard you say that we lost the war. So I'm like, understanding
we lost that round.
Right. We lost that round, but we're going to be winning the war because of the younger generation.
I'm very optimistic.
No. I know. I wanted to understand.
It's very good that you're correcting me because you understand what people may misunderstand.
Right.
Misunderstand. At the first week, I came in all over Israel in the Israeli TV, in the Patriotim, for example, and other stations. And I said, if you're going to show these pictures, horrified pictures of the hostages and what they did, not only that you're not going to get the support from the world, a tremendous wave of anti-Semitism going to rise. Come. Unfortunately, people didn't understand and did exactly the opposite. Until today, they're doing the opposite. And unfortunately, a tremendous rise of anti-Semitism do happen. Now, how did I know that? What is the thing? You see, the expectations from us, going back to Balfour, the expectation from us, from the Jewish nation, Jewish people that came back to their homeland, is to show a direction of morality to the entire world. Now, morality is not only show what is good, but also fight what is bad. Okay? What happened at the 7th of October was that the worst of evil that you can dream of, evil of all evils, blew up in your backyard, inside Israel, in the Holy Land. The Islamo-Nazism that Hamas showed to the world was worse than the old Nazism. Why? Because the Germans tried to hide what they did. Okay? They tried to blow up the gas chamber before the left.
Right.
They didn't want the world to know what they're doing. These guys, the Islamo-Nazism, they took pictures and spread by themselves to the whole
Live
whole
streams
world.
it to the world.
They did what they did with a religious enthusiasm. They really think that God loves them for what they did. Okay? They called their parents. Look what I just did.
I killed 10 Jews.
I put a baby in the oven in front of a mother while I made sure that the mother can see it while I'm raping her. That's what I did. Hey, it's so great. God loves me.
Right. Westerners can't understand that there's actually a civilization like that. They just can't understand it.
Okay? So it's worse than Nazism. So
Right.
this evil of all evils blow up in our backyard after we convinced the world that or the world gave us a state to fix this barbarism, okay?
Right.
And what did we do? We looked for the mercy of the world. Instead of showing how you fight it, how you erase this evil,
Yeah.
you waved with a picture. So what do we need you for? So you got anti-Semitism.
I think you would agree with this line that I like to use. The biggest desecration of God's name is the fact that the Jewish state of Israel allows evil to exist amongst us and continue killing us and not ending that evil.
For 70 years or 77 years, every VIP that comes to Israel, what is the first place you're taking him?
Holocaust Memorial Museum, Yad Vashem,
To Yad Vashem.
instead of the Temple Mount.
Yes. You see why we need the state of Israel? Something like that cannot exist. And now it exists.
Right.
And you cannot deal with that.
Moshe Feiglin, always a pleasure talking to you. And for anyone who is not yet familiar with Moshe, go to Amazon, order this new book, Israel is Just the Beginning. Is your old one still available for purchase? Where there is no men.
Not many copies left.
Search for it. It is worth the read if you could find the other book as well. I highly advise it. But I want to end with this very, very optimistic note, because again, Moshe and I, you're hearing the analysis, and the book is the analysis, which is critical to understand what's going on around us. We are both totally optimistic about the future, and it's Moshe's leadership, whether in the Knesset or not in the Knesset, over the past 30 years, that very much has shaped the redemptive mindset that exists in Israel today, not just in the religious national public, but across Israeli society. And I really say this, like what we see in the younger generation today, and this connection to our Jewish identity, regardless of religious affiliation or wherever they live in the country, it very much is due to this awareness and to this war of ideas that Moshe has been writing about and talking about ever since he was basically thrust onto the world stage because of the Oslo peace process, where there is no man try to be a man, and Private Moshe Feiglin jumped into the arena and made himself a public figure, and he's been there ever since. So my blessing to you is, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu, may God continue to bless you with the vision, with the integrity, with the strength, spiritual and physical, to continue doing what you have been doing for the past 30 years for the benefit not just of the Jewish people in Israel and not just for the Jewish people around the world who hopefully one by one will start coming back home, but really for all of humanity and helping us fulfill our mission as the Jewish people for the benefit of all of humanity. So Moshe, thank you.
Thank you very much, Avi.
Right. Link below. Click to order. today. Shalom, everyone. Thanks again for watching another episode of the Pulse of Israel. If you are not yet a subscriber to our daily, belief-based, inspiring, politically incorrect, truthful videos about Israel, the Jewish people, and the freedom-loving world, what are you waiting for? Go to pulseofisrael.com and click to subscribe today. And yes, we are a donor-based operation. We need your donations for support in order to make these videos and get our videos seen and do all the work we do. So every once in a while, whether a large donation or a small donation, just go to pulseofisrael.com and click on the donate button. Shalom, everyone, and thanks for watching.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.